यार मिलेनियल्स का आई टेल यू बेसिक प्रॉब्लम क्या है. पहले हम किसी और को सर्विस कर रहे थे, आज किसी और को सर्विस कर रहे हैं, बट हम लोग सर्विस में ही रह गए. हमारी सर्विसिंग किसी ने नहीं करी है. दैट्स द प्रॉब्लम.
When I would be able to send my child कि तू रोड क्रॉस कर, जा वहाँ से जाके खरीद के लेके आ. But our parents, they were a lot braver in this.
कल अगर बच्चा रो रहा है, उसको किस तरीके से सूद करे, उसके 5 टाइप्स है आपके पास. आपने सही टाइप चूज किया है कि नहीं?
I feel that kids need to learn on their own. Right? They need to discover stuff on their own. Their minds need to make connections on their own.
Fact is, like, behind every bully is somebody who's getting bullied themselves.
Hi, I'm Revant, co-founder and CEO at Mosaic Wellness, and we have a kids platform called Little Joys within our fold. This podcast, Tiffin Break by Little Joys, is our attempt to demystify the journey of parenting. Parenting is supposed to be joyful. It's supposed to be enjoyable. It's something all of us look forward to. But somewhere along the way, it becomes a little bit more worrying than that. It becomes a little stressful. It becomes something that we start thinking about all day versus coming to us naturally. We felt that we should get a diverse set of parents onto this platform and hear about their parenting journey and maybe attempt to at least bring back the joy to parenting. Today, we have 2 fabulous guests to talk about their journey of parenting. Maria, who is the Vice President of Marketing at Mosaic Wellness, and Nandini, who heads the content marketing at the business. Welcome, Maria and Nandini.
Thank you, everyone. Very happy to be here.
Nandini doesn't look so happy to be here.
No, I'm super excited, considering I love being on screen. So I think it's quite an exciting thing.
I think this is something that I think most of us parents have gone through much more in detail. But maybe let's bring more depth into this particular topic. Is our birthday stressful or enjoyable?
As a parent, it's a very, very stressful time because there is so much of expectation from the kid that is saal hum naya kya karenge, right? What is the theme for my birthday? So for my daughter, we had Captain America theme. Then there was mermaid theme. Then usse pehle it was astronaut theme. Abhi it was Ghibli studio theme or something that changed into a princess theme. So, I mean, every year theme कैसे करना है, उसके हिसाब से केक क्या आएगा, डेकोर क्या होगा, गेस्ट लिस्ट में क्या क्या होगा, रिटर्न गिफ्ट क्या होगा, you know, what will be like the action item for me, like is another huge listicle for me to like take care of. So that is one thing. And second is your relations. How best am I going to approach this event at this point of time? क्या नया करेंगे and all of that, right? So there's this collective pressure on your shoulder कि boss, I have to perform. So performance anxiety is very, very natural. और वो मॉम्स को भी आती है और बच्चों को भी हो जाता है. आई डोंट नो व्हाट इट इज़, बट ये होता ही है, नज़र लगती ही है. लाइक एक तो परफॉर्मेंस की वजह से होता है और बच्चों को आफ्टर एंजॉइंग देयर बर्थडे दे विल इवेंचुअली फॉल सिक.
Let's say your daughter went to someone else's birthday party, which was much grander than what, let's say, you celebrate. And then she has an expectation that our party should also be, I don't know where all of this comes from. I'm assuming it's because they see it somewhere else, or they see it on YouTube, and there's always this expectation that, and that's a little bit of her expectation.
Yeah.
But for example, if you stay in a gated community or in a society where other mothers are throwing grand parties for their children and your child is invited, or the return gift you just mentioned, right? Like, is it, oh, isne return gift itna acha diya tha, so we should also give a good return gift.
है ना, होता ही है वो. It's all about कितने लोग मेरी पार्टी में आए और उसके बाद करने को क्या क्या था, उसके बाद रिटर्न गिफ्ट क्या हुआ, प्लेट में कितने आइटम्स थे, हाउ डिड आई डू द एंटरटेनमेंट ऑल्सो. इट इज़ नॉट जस्ट अबाउट कि ओके दिस डन दिस डन दिस डन. हाउ डिड आई एंटरटेन दोज किड्स वंस दे आर देयर. दैट्स लाइक अ मेजर आस्क एंड किड्स एक्चुअली फील दैट प्रेशर बिकॉज आई वेंट टू दिस पर्सन्स पार्टी, फलाना डिमाका के पार्टी में गए, उसने तो ये किया था, मेरे घर में क्यों नहीं हो रहा ऐसा, राइट? इवन अगर बैठने में ये नहीं बोलेंगे ना, देयर इज अ सर्टेन अमाउंट ऑफ अनस्पोकन सैडनेस दैट विल कम. Like they don't want to like be overbearing and say करो ही करो, but this is like a silent expectation कि अगर वो लोग कर सकते तो हम लोग क्यों नहीं कर सकते, sort of. A lot of our kids were at a very young age when COVID struck. This social anxiety, if I have enough people around me to connect with, is very, very rampant. So मेरे birthday पे कितने लोग आए, मैं कितने लोगों के साथ celebrate कर सकी, right? And how many people are happy being my friends. That is something that has always been a crucial ask, at least for my daughter. I just feel that in a social scenario, she makes acquaintances very fast. But when it comes to actual connect and making friends, that doesn't happen really organically for her. And maybe it is because वो सिर्फ मेरे और उसके डैड के साथ इतना टाइम स्पेंड करती है that her mind frame is a little more grown up than the rest of the kids in her age group. So whenever I observe her interacting with people or kids rather in her age group, I always tell her, "तुम नानी क्यों बनती हो? Like why do you want to become like that?" But she has that mature layer to her character that she would want to break up fights. She would want to tell people to be safe. She would want to tell them, let's all play together or let's think of newer ideas, right? She wants to give the direction. And when she feels like the other people are not understanding her and she's not connecting, then she loses interest and like, I'm getting really bored and I'll go.
So is that surprising? लगता है तेरे पे गई है
वो हो सकता है, I don't know. But I'm just saying कि COVID के बाद से ये ज़्यादा हुआ है. Because उससे पहले तक she was making friends very easily. She was in kindergarten at that point of time. She was very happy going to school and all of that. And my kid is really independent. बहुत ही ज़्यादा. COVID में वो 1 साल या फिर 8 महीने रहने के बाद, I kid you not, she was not able to walk down the stairs without holding somebody's hand. She had forgotten. She was in lower kindergarten at that time, but she had suddenly forgotten how to climb stairs. Because हम तो एक ही फ्लोर पे रहते थे, बाहर जाना ही नहीं होता था, right? So after COVID,
it's an independent house.
Yeah, Bangalore में.
Okay.
So I was surprised. I was not surprised. It really hit me how much that entire period had impacted her. Not only in terms of craving for actual connects, and imagine being like claustrophobic in one apartment with just 2 grown-ups, no connect with people in your age group, no connect with relations, grandparents, nothing. No conversation around anything new, right? So that ought to have had some amount of impact, which I just feel, though I agree, मेरे पे गई है शायद, पता नहीं. But उसके बाद से I've seen her being a little more anxious in terms of trying to connect with people a lot more, right?
But maybe a little bit about backgrounds in terms of how both of you grew up. Where in India did you sort of, always be here or, land up here? Backgrounds, cultural differences, marriage, how did you actually become mothers? Would love to understand that a little bit.
Yeah, so I was like born and brought up in Delhi. I came here like only after getting married. So everything, my school, college, I grew up with 2 siblings, an elder sister who's 2 years older and a brother who's like 10 years younger than me. So that's like a different generation altogether, which I still don't understand. But I think what I saw with him was when he came, at that time my mom was also going through she went through cancer when he was just about 2 years old. So I was mothering him at that time. I was very attached to him, and I think at that time I was very clear. So I had everything very clearly charted out कि मुझे शादी तो करनी ही है, like by the time I'm 26 and I want to have my child in time and everything, but I also always knew that I want one child. So that was it for me. I came to Bombay after I got married. Both my husband and I are from Delhi.
Why even before marriage you were very clear only one child?
I think I was just like generally, I was very like clear with my thoughts कि मुझे ऐसे ही करना है. I want to like do events after I finish my graduation. I want to do my DU, like I wanted to go to the North Campus. So similarly, I had this thing and I knew like the pains and everything of like having a child. I was like, I'll have one child, I'll educate him well, I'll do everything for him nicely. And not that I don't have this thought. I feel quite bad at times that should I have एक और बच्चा कर लेना चाहिए था क्या? But it's the same thing. I see my sister's 2 kids and then I'm like, yeah, that's so cute, the brother and sister, they hug each other and they have each other's backs and all of that. But in the next breath, I'm like, oh my God, that's so much of work. I don't want it. I'm very happy with one. Yeah. So yeah. So
the same thing, right? Like we sometimes worry if we were too selfish for our own time and effort, where, what if, the child had company? Exactly the same thought that comes in.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's always something that will stay as a thought.
That's also because we all came from like families where we had siblings, right?
Correct.
And parents have this weird logic that you don't, it's not for you, it's for the child. Like something happens to you, tomorrow the child must have like a sibling. Like that's what I've always heard from.
Also, the others enjoy growing up in each other's company.
Yeah,
I mean, I try to spend a lot of time with my cousins who have children of similar age, so that the children also are able to spend time with each other. What about you?
So, I mean, like, I think we are poles apart when it comes to the life path.
She's very focused.
Yeah. I think I have been a perpetual vagabond when it comes to, it's like I'm stumbling through life and figuring shit out as I go, right? It's never been like, but I'll tell you, when I was growing up, as a kid, it was very like, ye karna hai, ye karna hai, ye karna hai. That just went out of the window 12वीं के बाद. It was just like something completely different, right? So, my father was in the Indian Army. So, I have had to change schools every 1.5 years, right? So, I think while initially it felt like, this rootlessness, ki I don't belong to any place. I'm always okay to pack up my suitcase at the drop of a hat and figure shit out ki jana hai, jana hai, jana hai. Right now also I'm based out of Bombay, but agar kal kuch ho gaya, I'm not married to the idea ki meko yahi pe rehna hai. So I think that's how it is wired, right? So yeah, that is the way I grew up. But I also feel that what it led to doing is creating some amount of social anxiety in me, which I had. So there was no name for this. एंग्जाइटी अभी हम लोग बोलते हैं एंग्जाइटी है. जब मैं स्कूल जाती थी और बस पे चढ़ते मेरे को लगता था कि चेस्ट पे कुछ हैवी हो रहा है और सांस नहीं आ रहा है. उसको क्या बोलते हैं मुझे नहीं पता है. मे बी एवरीबडी फील्स लाइक दैट, आई डोंट नो यार. बट हर स्कूल में जाते वक्त ऐसा क्यों फील होता है? मे बी देयर इज समथिंग रॉन्ग विथ मी और समथिंग, राइट? सो वी यूज्ड टू टेक इट इन आवर स्ट्राइड कि ठीक है बॉस, लाइफ है, अभी तो जाना ही है, ऐसा वॉट एवर. सो दैट वॉज हाउ आई ग्रू अप. एंड आफ्टर दैट I think one of the most critical part of my life was losing my mother at a very, like a pivotal stage. Like I had just completed my +2 and I had moved to a college, and I had moved to a hostel basically, right? So it was literally like empty nesters wala syndrome. My younger brother was there, of course, but then for me to be away from my mom, it was very, very hard on her. So she used to call me every evening, same question, khana kha liya kya? Or like, kya khaya? I said, it's so irritated ki yehi same question kyun roz pooch sakte ho?
That's the teenage rebel time, right? Where you're like,
yeah, that was a thing, like, and the funniest thing is, the day I turned 18, she came to my hostel with my favorite food. Like, she got those Calcutta egg rolls that are there, right? And I ate, and just in the passing, I told her, अब तो मैं 18 की हूँ, I'm a grown up, I don't need you. 3 months later, she passed away. And I have not gotten over the fact that I said that to her. Because in your heart,
unfortunately stick with you.
In your heart, you can't forget that that is what happened. And the starkest part of that is having that feeling of a big piece of you and your life completely missing. वही बंदा जो आपको रोज फोन करके बोलता था खा लिया क्या, अभी वो कॉल नहीं आता है, right? The fact that I can't say mom to anybody anymore. And these are smaller things that you deal with as a child, and this relationship with a parent in which you're just coming out of that teenage rebel phase and understanding what they're all about. I was just getting to become friends with my mom, and it just completely went, right? So what it did was probably derail my entire concept of life. It derailed my entire concept of family. Because while some families thrive in coming together in grief, mine was a completely opposite thing. We became 3 islands and we just went in completely different directions. Disconnect, a sense of resentment towards fate and what had happened to us, and all of those bits and pieces, right? And it was not working out well for us at all. What it ended up doing for me is plummet me into a situation in which I started looking for love and family in all the wrong places. I was like a straight A student. I knew this Adarsh Wala thing probably was defined for me because I was like that, right? But there came a phase I was like, I don't give a fuck. I mean, you do everything straight and shit happens to you. So iska matlab hi kya hai? So existential crisis 101 happened, right? And I was like, what am I doing? What is life all about? Doesn't make any sense, right? And that was also the time when I kind of moved on for my master's. And my thought was, family se kitna dur ja sake at that point. Because it was, you look at their faces and you're reminded of that pain again and again, right? And you don't want to do that And that was also a time my dad got remarried, right? And while I was so happy for him that probably he had a semblance of a family again, for me it was not going to solve anything. Instead, what it did was take away that naturalness of my communication with him, because now I always felt obligated to be nice, obligated to be polite, right? Understanding, accommodating, all of those. So I moved away, and then I just felt like, ठीक है, किसी को पड़ी नहीं है, मेरे को क्या पड़ी है? Life is life types, right? So I got into everything that you would want to do. It was like a sex, drugs, rock and roll wala phase in my life. I have no वो किया मैंने कुछ गलत कर दिया या फिर I feel guilty about it. I think it happened at a time that it was supposed to happen, right? And I think it gave me immense perspective in terms of who I was. Because along with all of that, inside I was that vulnerable child still seeking a family. That I needed that family, right? And what happened is eventually when I met my partner, after a lot of disastrous dating relationships that wouldn't last beyond 3 months, something about him made me feel like I was whole again. It was not like a million pieces strewn across the ocean. He just gave me one tight hug and I felt like I was cared for. I was together once more, right? And I just felt that I could depend on him. But that was a time in which I was just taking a plunge into something different from my journalism career. Up until that, I had done journalism and I was thinking कि ठीक है, अभी हम कुछ और करते हैं. I had a chance to actually go out of the country and be in a media side for one of the embassies, right? But once I met him, I took a decision कि मेरे को नहीं करना है. Because for me, that connect was stronger than a career choice at that point, right? So I decided to stay back. I had left my job. He had left his job. We felt that we found each other. Let's just do anything we feel like doing. Like, गाड़ी लेके निकल जाते हैं कहीं पे कुछ भी करते हैं, whatever. But what happened is 6 months later, I was pregnant. And it was like suddenly from all that कि accountability नहीं चाहिए life में to this कि boss ये क्या है? And then I also felt that, you know, I was in this entire merry-go-round and suddenly it just came to me that I have to make a decision. But it is not something that I'm deciding just for myself. There's another life involved, right? Like whatever. I was 26, 27. And he said, तू बच्ची है अभी. Like, you need to live your life, you need to enjoy. If you do this, you'll never be able to live the life that you really want to do. You want to do so many things. What will you do? You will start resenting me and you'll start resenting this whole situation, right? That was what he said. And I said, I'll think about it. And this is something that he couldn't help me with. I had to decide for myself, right? I had these 10 days in which I didn't sleep. I cried the whole night because it was a very strange situation. And I don't know if it was hormones or whatever it is. Trust me, if I had not gotten pregnant, I would have never had a child. Not through that ever. I wouldn't have planned it ever. Because in my head, after what I had gone through with my family and the concept of losing somebody who's dear to you, I didn't want to do that to myself again, right? So after 10 odd days of going through this entire turmoil in my head, I know it's going to sound a little filmy. So my mom came in my dream. And it has only happened twice, okay? Once she passed away, that time I dreamt of her. And this time I dreamt of her. And she said, why are you so worried? I'm coming back to you. And it's not like that happened, but maybe it was my own head telling me that it's okay. You're always looking for a family and here you got one. So it's relax now. So I made up my mind that, no matter what is required, I'll move heaven and earth, but I'll make this happen. So I did that. That's my story of how I got pregnant and how I had my kid and all of it together.
I think it's fundamentally the reason most of us become parents. It's not very clear in the beginning. Even though it was a planned thing for us, it's only when you become a parent do you realize the true joy of having to care for someone else and putting them above your own needs.
Yeah. It's like all the joy, all the inexplicable bursts of emotion that's coming in, but it's as good as I've just put one piece of my heart outside and bola ki basko pair de do and daudna shuru karo. And it can get hurt, it can get hit. It's like being vulnerable in another body, that's how it is. It's like me and like something that is so precious to me, and I'm taking this huge chance of letting them out in this world. Like this world being the operating phrase, right? Like how does one do that? Like even with my partner, our stance was very same. इस दुनिया में बच्चे नहीं लेके आने, like, इस दुनिया में नहीं करने. And then when it actually happens, to actually feel that, was हो रहा है और इसी दुनिया में हो रहा है and चलना पड़ेगा. And now when I tell my daughter कि, boss, the world is like that, you have to understand, right? So it's like coming a full circle. Again, Vahi, it's like, and maybe it's mother nature, it's evolution, वो game चलता ही रहता है. You're just part of the whole thing. Yeah.
ठीक से खाना खाया क्या करके.
Arey, of course, the same thing. Food is something that is the connecting link between me and my daughter. We love going out and eating. We love cooking together. We love writing recipes together. It's like something that binds us. I wanted my mom to be in my life so much that I ended up replicating myself after her. That I wanted to be her because I couldn't have her in her person. So the way she used to take care of us in terms of, the 360-degree part of it, I do everything that is required.
Do you find yourself thinking about that, Nandini? That do you think that your motherhood journey is maybe designed on how you were taken care of when you were a child?
First and foremost, admissions in Bombay in the regular schools are like a real, like, it just doesn't happen unless and until some trusty ke uncle or something, right? The other thing with him is that he had like a bit of speech delay. He started speaking quite late. I think what worked in our favor was I accepted it very, very soon. We were called when he was barely 2.5 years old. His school called us and they told us that ye bachcha bolta nahi hai. And he went to a very, very good school. He went to Ecole. And they said he doesn't talk, he only points at things while all the other kids are talking. So then I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? Clueless parent. So they were like, maybe you can show him to a pediatrician. We took him to a pediatrician. My pediatrician said, you just show him to the OT, to the therapist. So then we took him there and we understood. So then she told us like a couple of things, that observe these things at home. And if you find, like he used to repeat a lot of words. He would say the same thing. And he would say, like he would talk, like he'd say, Revant, like he would say, Revant, you are my friend. Like he would say the opposite of that. I can't remember it right now. But
you would jumble up the words?
He would jumble up the words. He would repeat the words. And, walking on the toes, all of those which are like early signs of autism. So the good thing is that I think we got intervention in time. We also got him assessed. So it wasn't autism. It was just something which was, I think he just had like delays in his speech milestones.
Okay.
So what I did was, I think by nature also I'm competitive. So when I started taking him for his occupational therapy, it was actually behavioral. Whatever I used to see in the therapist's room, right, for the next session, I used to run home, I used to order everything, I used to buy everything, I used to send him prepared for the next one. I used to be like, ye flashcards hai, ye karna hai. So I used to make sure that he's prepared, and I just did not want to hear कि इसको ये नहीं आता है, वो नहीं आता है. The good part is he actually came out of that therapy within, I think, 5 sessions. After that, she said, I have nothing else to teach him. There's nothing else that I can do. So to answer your question, I also made sure that I put him in an IB school where the attention is a lot. I also made sure that, whatever he's learning, I mean, there's no unnecessary scolding and stuff like from people who don't warrant any kind of participation in his life. So I did these things. But now I think he's come a long way. And whatever I did for him outside, I compensated by kind of being very, very strict with him at home. So I think we've achieved that balance. But I think my opinion on this whole thing is that every child is very, very different. And parents, children, the one thing that I learned with Shesh therapy is that children don't have any anxiety. They don't have any problem. It's the parents. Therapy is not for children. It's for parents. You go there to learn how you can make your child's life better. The child actually, we perceive in our head that the child has a lot of issues or he's doing this or he needs this help. Right? I'm only talking in this case about my child. But they were all my anxieties. They were all my worries. So yeah, I mean, that's
natural to worry.
It's natural.
If your child is not speaking and the other children are, it's natural to worry that he may fall behind.
Yeah.
See, I think I don't disagree with you on the fact that it's our worry, but I think at some point of time, and there are situations I just can't recall right now, but I have actually had a conversation with my mother as an adult, asking her as to why she did not help me at that point of time. I just can't recall the specific situation right now. And somewhere I feel that, today I think he was 2.5 then, but let's say now that he's 8, he's 9, they're 10, they'll remember stuff. And at least I don't want to have a situation where I feel that later, 10 years later, he feels that, hey, we should have maybe, because he doesn't know what's the right thing, right? They enjoy in every situation. Yeah, I don't disagree that it's our anxiety. It's just that somewhere down the line, because we bring the child into this world, we are also expected to take care of him or her.
Yeah.
And we are expected to know what's right for them. And I think that does come into our thought process that, hey, maybe this is what is right for him or her. And this will help him or her in the future as well, right? In that sense. But tell me this, you keep saying, you mentioned 2-3 times that you're a strict parent.
Yeah.
What's the evolution of the strictness that you've seen when he was 2, when he was 4, 6, 8?
So I think it's been 6 years now when he was 2. So I don't really, so I think I'll tell you this much, that from the time that he was 2 to 5, I was quite okay with him, because he was also, we had put him like in therapies, and I didn't want to kind of make it difficult for him or for myself. But when I say strict, Revant, I think I mean it more from the sense of studies. And that is, maybe it's got to do with me. Like, I feel like there's, just the other day, my husband was asking me that if there's one thing that you could change about your life, what would it be? And I was like, maybe I would have studied more. Because I always had this thing that padhai karni chahiye thi, but actually I didn't want to. I wanted to work much faster. So with Shresht, I feel that he's extremely bright academically. And hence, I just want to make sure that I'm an Indian parent as far as that is concerned.
What if, like your Carnatic music, he doesn't enjoy studying?
No, he loves studying. So I've seen that. He enjoys studies. He's good with his studies. And like you said, even I feel bad when I whack him. And I try to do it lesser and lesser now. I don't really do it much. Again, like you said, his behavior has also changed a lot. He's matured a lot. So it's difficult for me to kind of, just pick my hand up and like give him one. Now I can't do it that easily because he questions me a lot. But I think mutually we agree on the studies part. I think he's okay with it. So I can see Maria like just like looking down, and she's like, why is this girl doing this?
Why is she so worried about studies?
Yeah, actually, why is so worried about stuff?
Like, it's not. No, I'm not worried. So I'm not worried about anything, frankly. I just think that I don't know. I can't explain it, but I just think it's important for him to study well. Like, it's not a worry per se. It's just that something he needs to do. That's all.
She's very anal about bachcha padhna chahiye, first aana chahiye, etc., etc., etc.
First to nahi aata.
How do you look at that aspect?
Here, I'm a very objective-driven person. Like, at work
Everyone
also,
feels so by the way.
But I'm saying the approach. You might not feel that way, but my approach is end result क्या करना चाहते हैं at the end of the day, ठीक है?
उसको
Now I
थोड़ी
see,
पता होगा।
मैं सोच रही हूँ, मैं उसके behalf पे नहीं सोच रही हूँ, but if I look at it, like you said, no, मेरी माँ ने decide क्यों नहीं किया, मेरे को help क्यों नहीं किया, and whatever. So I'm just thinking, at the end of the day, if I look at my life का trajectory and see कि मेरे को ये corporate hamster wheel में घूमते रहना है, या फिर I want to prepare her for a passion-based life in which she's actually happy doing what she really wants to do, and then money doesn't become like a thing ki passion first follows and then the money comes, like that kind of a thing. So while the basic level of education ki हाँ भाई तेरे को पढ़ना आता है, लिखना आता है, गिनती आती है, mathematics वगैरह sorted है, I'm happy as long as she's doing that. Like right now we are on fractions, right? And I'm very hands-on when it comes to this, the basic education. And it is not कि you have to top a class or you have to do this or you have to do
Concepts
that.
on
Concepts समझ जाते हैं. हाँ, मतलब at the end of the day, application of it should be very clear to you कि तेरे को करना क्या है, use कैसे करना है, how to solve for it. बाकी तेरे को दौड़ में जो करना है वो up to you, right? So that understanding के लिए you learn, not first आने के लिए, second आने के लिए you learn, right? उसके ऊपर once तेरा basic sort हो गया, you figure out कि life में तेरे को चाहिए क्या. tomorrow you want to become a farmer, you become a farmer. You want to be a musician, do that. Painting में तेरे को interest है, like with my daughter, she's very drawn towards the arts.
Okay.
So whether it is just the drawing part of it, making small movies,
How does she make small movies? Sorry.
she creates the scenarios and scripts and shoots with her father.
Wow.
They play characters. Okay, it's very funny actually how they do it. And then she actually started animating. So there is this fixed frames. So you can do freeze frame, then go to the next frame. She started doing that. Then I bought her one of those digital the things in which you can actually create it on board.
She's 8, right?
She's 8.
You're sure she's 8?
Yeah, she started doing this like much early. She was really passionate about it.
Okay, somehow kids do pick up technology
Very fast.
Very fast, yeah.
जो मेरे को नहीं समझ में आएगा उसको समझ में आ जाता है. Maybe it's the evolution. Yeah, they're wired like that.
No, I think they get, it's very intuitive. Their minds are all very much more curious than our minds now. I don't know why that happens. We just become less and less curious as we age.
They are like a sponge at this point. So they're
Yeah.
more open to having these kind of like new learnings. They're more adaptable that ways, right? हमारा क्या है कि टंकी भर गई है. अभी कुछ, we have to let go of something to fill in more, right? It's like that.
I don't know if it's that or we just somehow, because we have so many other things in our, occupying our mind.
वही तो टंकी भर गई है.
Is this, I think you've been very outspoken on being a millennial mother and how hard it is. What, I mean, maybe for the audience, you could take us through your thoughts on that.
यार millennials का I'll tell you basic problem क्या है. जब हम लोग बड़े हो रहे थे तब ये बड़ा आदर्शवादी समाज था. That माता पिता का you have to do the respect and they have brought you into this world and this whole life was like a sheer commitment towards making them feel good about being your parents. How do I make your name brighter, bigger, more famous? Oh, आपकी लड़की है. This is your father. Like that kind of a thing, right? So a lot of my tangible and intangible efforts used to go into proving that, okay, I want my parents to feel proud of me, right? So that was कि parents का जय जय चल रहा था. अभी जब हम बन गए हैं parents, तो अभी बच्चों की जय जय चल रही है. You take care of their emotional shit, you take care of their mental, psychological, educational, monetary, societal, सब कुछ like 360 degree करो. They have become the primary problem right now to solve for, right? हमारा टाइम ही नहीं आया कभी. पहले parents were ruling, now kids are ruling और हम लोग बीच में आवे रह गए हैं. तो it is just like हमारा टाइम कब आएगा? When will we become the heroes of our own stories? Yeah, we are just side characters. तो वही चल रहा है अभी. So that is my problem with this whole thing. कि this has not been fair. Generationally, it has not been fair at all. Either you are providing for the previous generation or the next generation.
But don't you think this is the circle of life? Like if you ask your parents, they will tell you the same thing. हमारे लिए भी ऐसे था. हम अपने parents के लिए कर रहे थे बचपन में और अब फिर तुम्हारे पीछे पड़े. तुम्हें दिख नहीं रहा है. You don't appreciate what we did for you. Maybe it's a vantage point of not having seen what they've done.
Yeah, that might be true, but I'm just saying it is not as out there as it is today. Like अगर पहले a small thing, but this is something that really strikes me, right? जब मैं 5 साल की थी, मैं रास्ता क्रॉस करके जाके शॉपिंग मॉल से मॉल लेके आती थी.
Correct.
भाई मेरी हिम्मत नहीं होगी आज अपने मतलब 8 साल की बच्ची को भेजने का. गाड़ी आके लेके चलिए, कोई आके लेके चला जाएगा. I literally used to ask my parents कि क्या सोच रहे थे बॉस. मतलब what was the thought process, like what? So like no, I mean you're in the world, you'll figure shit out. Otherwise how will it happen, right?
Fair.
आज की दुनिया में अगर कोई करेगा, imagine the amount of judgments that they are going to incur.
Parents will get
So I'm
judged.
saying, all I'm saying is ठीक है, उनका समझ रही हूँ, बट इतना टफ नहीं था यार कि हर लेवल पे उनको कोई क्वेश्चन करे कि तूने ऐसा कैसे होने दिया. कल अगर बच्चा रो रहा है उसको किस तरीके से सूद करे, उसके 5 टाइप्स है आपके पास. आपने सही टाइप चूज किया है कि नहीं? किस टाइप की पेरेंटिंग करते हो, उसकी 8 वेराइटीज हैं. How to acclimatize yourself with the emotional upheaval that your child is going through once they have just come out of their homes. अगर आपका बच्चा ऐसे बात नहीं कर रहा है, मे बी कुछ हो रहा है पीछे. हमारे टाइम में किसी ने जानने की कोशिश भी नहीं करी. पढ़ाई ठीक से चल रही है, हाँ कि नहीं, मार्क्स ढंग के आए हैं कि नहीं, that's about it. खाना खाओ, सो जाओ. It's as simple as that. There were basic tenets of life. You adhered to them, you got the shit done, that's the end of the story. You didn't have this milieu of like chaos strewn all over कि भाई मेरे को ये भी संभालना है, वो भी संभालना है, ये भी संभालना है. बच्चा ढंग से सोया क्या, उसकी इमोशनल नीड्स फुलफिल हुई क्या, रात को उसको स्टोरी सुनाया क्या मैंने, am I available to them or not? ये कौन सोचता था भाई? मेरे को बेलन से मार पड़ी है बिकॉज मैंने टाइम पे खाना नहीं खाया है. और आज मैं अपने बच्चे से पूछती हूँ खाने का मन हो रहा है, अगर हो रहा है यू गॉट 3 ऑप्शंस, नाउ टेल मी व्हाट डू यू फील लाइक. So ये this is what I'm saying ना, कि I'm not saying कि somebody has asked us to do this, but this intrinsic thing which might have also come because nobody asked us, hence we are feeling that I want to give that option to somebody. But in effect what it has done is, पहले हम किसी और को सर्विस कर रहे थे, आज किसी और को सर्विस कर रहे हैं, बट हम लोग सर्विस में ही रह गए, हमारी सर्विसिंग किसी ने नहीं करी है. That's the problem.
Do you resonate with that?
I think no, I think my life would be a little different because in Delhi, my parents, even how many years back now, like many years back, they put us in the school called Mirambika, which was like way out of their means, and but they made that decision, and it was started by this, I think it was a French couple, and it was like the Waldorf school method. जो आज आया, this whole IB and everything, it was that she.
उन्होंने तब भी फाइट मारी थी कि एकदम बढ़िया स्कूल में डालेंगे.
तो उन्होंने हमें वहाँ पे डाल दिया था उठा के. And the whole concept of being there was, my father said that I don't want any of these pressures and any of these, these things for you. I mean, any kind of like emotional damage for you guys. So he put my sister and me there. You wear casual clothes and go. There are no exams. From one class to another class, diya deke we used to be like sent. Used to pass, the previous class used to give a diya to like the earlier class, red group, blue group, green group, yellow group. So that's how it was. So it's a beautiful, it was very futuristic. Abhi bhi I should read about it. It's called Mirambika. And I don't know if you've heard of Mother and Sri Aurobindo.
Yeah, this.
Correct. So it was started by them. Beautiful campus in Delhi. And
I actually went, changed boards for 7th and 8th. And it was same. Everything was Greek and Latin. I used to always be a top 3, top 4 student, and suddenly I was like barely passing. That did hit my confidence a little bit. More than that, what I realized is kids are generally mean, right? When you're not doing well in studies. The only group I could be a part of was what I call the punter group, right? Like, jo pure time masti karte rehte.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
They accepted me because they're like, chal ye hamare jaisa hai karke. Right? So at least, you want to belong in some group or the other. And I still, when we catch up, so we have the school group for that specific school, where I sometimes go to the alumni meets, and I'm very clear with them that all of you were so haughty back then, just because you were a 4-pointer or a 3-pointer something, and you would not talk to me properly because I was not good at studies.
Yeah.
And they're like, nahi, kuch bhi bol raha hai. I'm like, no boss, you don't remember. These are scars that I am carrying.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
Since that age of 12, 13, 11.
Yeah.
तुमको कुछ याद नहीं आ रहा है because you were bullying, right? You had no clue that what you were doing, maybe, but I still remember those things, right? So, but I think somehow it shapes. I know you're right. Today maybe we take all these things too seriously. Ki, oh my God, emotionally scar ho raha hai bachcha, and therefore let's do something about it. Somehow I don't think we turn out that differently as such.
So I think our parents didn't know better. We know better also because of a lot of exposure.
But is that a curse that you know so much that you're worried about it all the time when you can't do much about it? Like, if, for example, if my child is getting bullied in school, once I get to know, maybe I'll go and talk to the teachers and try and do something about it. But like, he does get bullied in the playground, in the gated community that we live in. And we just said, fine, we'll put him in some class where he'll not get bullied. Right? But there's nothing else you can do about it, right? Because like, I used to hate it when parents used to get involved in children affairs. Like, there would be the standard thing when you're playing. And I think we were between the age of 6 and 9, I was in this one society where there was this kid whose mother would always keep watching from the window, and whether the child was out or not, uski mummy bolegi. Like, out ho jayega, I'm like, chalo, next batting, his mummy was like, nahi, out nahi hai, usko khelne do karke. I'm like, nahi, out ho gaya karke. It's so infuriating, right? Just because she's... Now, she wanted what is best for her child, give her more batting and stuff like that. But, so it works both ways, by the way. Like, as children, we used to hate it, that, why are adults getting involved? अगर किसी को मैंने मार दिया, फिर ठीक है. वो भी होता था. Like, घर पे कोई आके complain करेगा, or somebody's father would come and say, your child hit my child, and valid. I should not have hit, right? That's a good learning for parents to get involved.
Ignorance is bliss. That's the thing, right? What you rightly pointed out is because our parents were not so aware or attuned to all of these things, right? Therefore, they probably didn't take a lot of actionables कि ये भी करना है, ये भी करना है. 5 साल के बच्चे को पैसे दे के दुकान में नहीं भेजना है या फिर रोड क्रॉस नहीं कराना है. So that happened to us. There are a lot of things which we did not identify or have a right nomenclature for. But now we do. We do because we are the product of that, what had happened to us, right? So the awareness has become like it's a collage of all of those memories and experiences that have come up. And that is always in the background. So there's a thing, na, ki if there's something that is bad, and there are degrees of what is bad, right?
Let me sort of interject that a little. Why is it bad to send a 5-year-old with money to a store? I still do. I mean, he's not 5 anymore.
It's
he's
not
8.
about doing that.
I think it's a function of just over worrying. Like, for example, when I did that the first time, my wife was aghast. No, you can't do this. I mean, no, he has to learn. You know, he has to, it's just downstairs. He has to go.
I understand, but where I'm talking about, it was not just downstairs. It was like, निकल के रास्ता क्रॉस कर.
Correct. I mean,
रास्ता क्रॉस करके सिखा दिया आपने. Like, for example, I taught him how to cross the road at 6, right? And I saw him go 2-3 times. And I said, no, let him go. Good. He's learned. Now, yes, you are right. There are more vehicles today than before. There is a higher probability that some idiot who's not watching the road and driving fast, yes. But, you know, let's go back. You just said the world is harsh, right? You have to, I mean, of course, I'll feel miserable if something happened to him. But I think the mind has to make connections and learn stuff quickly, right? Not at higher risk. I agree with you.
I think our parents were braver also. That's my thing, because I still remember, and I don't think as Bombay people, I don't know whether you will resonate with it, but when we were younger, and this I'm talking maybe around 12, 13, I'd come back from school and my mother would send me to a market ki jaake jeera khareed ke liya, right? 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you have like all these uncles on the road, predators, right? I would go, I would get it, I would come back. I would tell her also. Then after 2 days, she'll send me. She'll be like, go and get this and come. I don't think it...
What would you tell her if you could sort of...
I would tell her that some uncle is standing and this is not safe and whatever. And she'd be like...
How old were you then?
12, 13. So in
you didn't feel safe?
So I think we didn't feel safe, yes. I don't think any girl in Delhi generally feels safe. It's not some... we grew up with that. But the other thing is that we also taught how to handle it. Ki bhaag jana, ya laga dena hai. You know, my father used to tell me that if somebody comes and does something to you, first you slap that person. Like, he will be shocked. And then you have enough time to, you know, call people or do whatever. So that's how we were raised, like, in that environment. So what I'm trying to say is, to Maria's point, like, if, I don't think even I would be able to send my child ki tu road cross kar, ja wahan se jaake khareed ke leke aa. But our parents, they were a lot braver in this matter. And I don't think they registered a lot ki, are yaar, अच्छा ठीक है, this is a little dicey, let me not send. They, in their head, inherently felt कि ये handle कर लेंगे. They will, it's the big bad word. They know how to handle it. If not now, they'll learn the second time. If not the second time, they'll learn the third time. So that's
let me sort of go a little deeper into this topic, okay? And because both of you are very objective, think about this. We were not exposed to so much media. Or they were not exposed to so much media back then, right? 30 years back, when we were kids. Media accentuates polarized views, right? Anything on media will take one extreme, right?
Yeah.
And usually the extreme that sells the most is negativity. War, murder, rape, all of those things that will shock you, right? Fundamentally, do you think our minds are getting to be more conservative about these things? Now, that nurturing that happens in that age, between the age of 2, 4, 5, 10, 12, till our brain is making newer and newer connections. Somehow we can try and, I mean, of course, we can always substitute them with lesser risky aspects as well. But somehow I just feel that maybe we over worry as parents because we are exposed to so much negativity. And see, I do appreciate the case of, you know, having a daughter. It's always different. You are always a little bit more worried for the girl child. But at least in your case, maybe we should think about, I don't know, I'm not trying to say that you're wrong and I'm right. I'm just, sometimes I worry that we over worry as parents and we
do. So I think in that case, I mean, the way I'd look at it is, abhi time nahi hua hai, maybe another like 2-3 years. It's like that. Like for me, it's like, acha theek hai, 8 saal ka hua hai. I can send him inside the community anywhere. I can tell him ki whatever's there inside. they're very different also, right? The kids today, they're very privileged compared to what we were.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like our markets used to be, we used to have to cross a road, then we used to have to go to some gully, and then we used to go to a market. Here, like everything is inside the same community where we live. But to your point, yeah, I mean, we have to make them independent at some time. But in my head, I feel there's some time. Like I wouldn't have the guts to do it, to put it very, very
My worry is,
honestly.
I hope this, most of the audience feels like, यार ये privileged लोग बात कर रहे हैं करके, मतलब because gated communities कितनी
I don't live in a gated community at all. वो है ही नहीं. To your point when you say कि media ने इसको accentuate किया है, that I agree. Because as humans, we are wired कि negative पे हम ज़्यादा connect करेंगे, कि अगर किसी ने गलत बात कोई कर दी, वो हमारे दिमाग में ओवर चलता रहेगा, rather than किसी ने positive बात करी, तो वो होता ही है. But add that to also your personal experience now, and here might be a thing about a boy or a girl. That doesn't mean being a mother or a father to a boy makes you less prone to feeling these feelings, right? But I can only speak for myself. Growing up, what I have faced, and sometimes within the proximity of the house also, that have also led to certain very distasteful experiences, which I would not really want my daughter to go through, right? So, uske liye, I do agree कि developmental, there are certain stages and I need to make her independent on all of that. But like you said, I always feel that uske liye time hai. I don't want to run the risk of a drastic event taking place that alters her mind frame towards or alters her world view rather. Then be कि ठीक है मेरे को भाई दुकान नहीं जाना है, वो मैं 5 महीने बाद कर लूँगी या फिर 1 साल बाद कर लूँगी, ठीक है. That is okay to me at that point, right? And when it comes to the privilege part of it, right? It's a very personal thing. I just feel no matter how privileged or unprivileged you are the only parent to your child, right? So what you think at a person-to-person level goes beyond the privilege part of it. A privilege can give you ki theek hai, I have got the means to avoid certain things from happening. But that doesn't guarantee that, despite doing that, something might not happen. So I'll always rather be safe than feel sorry कि boss मैंने क्यों नहीं किया पहले. Just to a small point about the bullying part of it. No, bullying can be a different degree. अगर playground में कोई लड़ रहा है, मार रहा है, पीट रहा है, we don't get involved. But there was one incident 1 year back in which my daughter had just started showering on her own. So I was still stand at the door कि slip नहीं हो जाए or whatever. And I saw something here on the neck. So I asked her, ये क्या है? She first of all, she got scared. Then she broke down. She said there's somebody who's choking her. And they're choking her at a school in the washroom. There's a girl basically in the class, right? And she's telling her that you're not supposed to tell anybody else. So now I had a decision to make. How do I react to it? The fact is, like, behind every bully is somebody who's getting bullied themselves. It is not like a bigger person bullying my daughter. That means that girl might also be going through something. So what I did, I spoke to the class teacher and I said, I don't want to call her out or talk to her parents. Can you just intervene and figure out what's going on with her? And she did. And what we found out that at her home, she was getting bullied or she was getting neglected because she had a brother with certain needs or something and her parents were not focusing on her. And she was getting very, very angry about it. And she had nobody to take this anger out on. And she found this one person who would be very calm and okay and all and not tell anybody, and she was doing that. So that rings alarm bells ki boss, what is happening जिसके बारे में कि unless I nudge her, she's not going to tell me. So बैठे-बैठे अगर ये हो रहा है तो let alone कि आगे क्या हो सकता है. That way I'm like more cautious about certain things, right? Hence I'm saying I understand privilege, I understand developmentally, probably I'm hampering her growth that might match a certain age graph at this point of time. But basis my personal experiences and basis what I have seen happening, I just feel each child might have a different developmental path or trajectory made for themselves. There's no one rule of thumb कि ऐसा ही करना है, वैसा ही करना है. Our parents understood in a way that they saw the world, right? I understand it basis the lens of my experience and what I'm seeing right before my eyes. So to each their own. जैसा आपको situation हिसाब से लगता है that you need to take a call or behave, I think you're the best judge to decide there. There's no one blanket opinion in this matter at all.
Hi there. If you enjoyed watching the show, then please do subscribe to Tiffin Break on YouTube and Instagram to watch more such content. And if you want to be notified of the next episode, please do press the bell icon on the screen.